Saving your first $10,000 is a huge turning point, and it makes a difference between just getting by and finally getting ahead. But I get it. It feels like a lot, right? Maybe even at times feels impossible, especially if you've been living on the edge with no guidance on how to save money or to tell you how money works. And I know how that feels. I didn't come from a super rich family, and we rarely talked about money and how money works when I was growing up. But by learning what the rich do and by emulating their success, my wife and I now have a net worth of over $5 million, which allows us to travel the world without needing a full-time job. But before we even had our first $100,000, we had to save our first $10,000. So in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys exactly how to make your first $10,000 step by step. And these are the exact same steps that I did to save my first $10,000. And trust me, if you follow these steps to a T, you're going to hit these numbers way faster than you might think. But before we go into the physical realm of saving, we need to go into the mental realm and fix your mindset that you can even save this type of money. Because if you can believe that you can hit this $10,000 goal and that's not outside the realm of reality, then this thing can actually happen. But if in your mind, you already think that's impossible, or if you're surrounded by family and friends telling you that your financial goals are unrealistic or impossible and just some crazy pipe dream, then the chance of you actually succeeding are going to be very low. Because instead of just going through the steps like I'm telling you, you're going to end up giving up too early, or you're going to have a lot of doubts about what I'm saying. And you might just give in to bad habits, which will leave you in financial ruin. So you need to believe that if you follow these exact steps, that you will be able to hit your goal. But just believing in yourself is not enough. You do need to do the work, and you do need to take action, which leads us to the second step of this whole process, and that's by starting by getting rid of your high interest debt. So before you build your financial empire, you need to get out of any crazy holes that you've already buried yourself in. Now, some of you out there may have been spending way too much money on things that you don't actually need, and worst of all, some of y'all are buying things on credit cards or high interest personal loans, which means that you're paying even more money for something that you can't afford today. Now, an example of that might be a super nice car that you can't pay for at once today, so you get a car loan on it. Or by buying nice jewelry on a credit card, again, knowing that you won't be able to pay off the entire balance by the end of the month. This kind of consumer debt is the highest form of debt out there, and the interest rates on these are somewhere in the mid to high teens. And think about this, if you have a credit card that's charging you 19% a year, then it's almost always better off to pay that off first before trying to do anything else. Because there's almost no investment out there that will guarantee that you will make a better return than a guaranteed 19% loss from your credit cards. So there's two ways that you can handle your debt. And one way will get you out of debt faster than the other. Now, the first strategy is called the debt snowball method. And that's where if you have multiple loans, you pay off the loan that you have the lowest balance on first, and then you work your way up to the next lowest balance. So this way you get your quick wins in, because as you're paying off the small loan balances one at a time, you have less and less loans you have to deal with, and that's gonna be better for your mental stress. And it removes the overwhelm of having so many outstanding loans out there. Now, these quick wins are gonna give you the boost to continue paying off your bigger loans down the line. But if you're more into saving money and you're better off thinking the long run, then this next method is better for you. And that's called the avalanche method. So this method of debt pay down is where you focus on paying down the loans you have the highest interest rate on first. And if your loan that has the highest interest rate happens to be your biggest loan, then you're going to continue making these payments for a very long time, and you won't see these smaller loans disappear. Now, mathematically speaking, this is better for you because you're paying off your high interest debt first, but it can be mentally taxing because you're going to still have all these smaller loans around that you won't be able to get rid of so quickly. Now, this can be a little bit annoying because you may feel like you're never paying off that large interest heavy loan, but in the long run, this is actually the most money efficient way because you're paying off the debt that has the highest interest rate. So overall, you're paying less money towards your debt. Again, for this case, think about your own personality. Would you prefer having more money overall, or would you prefer having these quick wins by getting rid of your smaller loan balances and then getting that peace of mind? So figure that out first, and then try to get rid of as much debt as possible, to the point where the only real debt you have are long-term debts that you're not going to pay off anytime soon. For example, you don't need to worry about aggressively paying off your mortgage for your house, but you definitely want to start paying off your credit card debt as soon as possible. But saving $10,000 isn't just about reducing your debt. You also need to do this next step, which is figuring out how to reduce your overall expenses. Now, one way to do this is to change your mindset around spending. Instead of thinking that a burger you buy at a restaurant is just $25 after tax and tip, think about how much time it took you to make that money at work to pay for that burger. Now, you'll understand why this matters in just a moment. If you have a job that just pays you $15 an hour, then a $25 burger isn't just $25 anymore. It's actually more than 2 hours of your time at work, because even though you're making $15 an hour, your take-home pay is less than that because of income taxes. So that one lunch just costs you 1/4 of your whole day. Now, is that one burger really worth half of your morning at work? If you start thinking this way about how things cost more time than money, then maybe you'll start to spend differently and you'll value your time more than just the money that you're spending. And that's just a start. If you're still struggling with overspending, then let me share with you 2 strategies that I used to help me stay on budget. So one thing I did when I first got started was to actually track everything that I was buying. I kept a list, and every time I purchased something, I wrote down exactly how much I spent. So this forced me to look back at what I've been buying. And after reviewing where most of my money went, I was pretty disappointed when I was buying. Now, by writing everything down, it made me even more responsible with my money, and it really helped me cut back on my useless spending. And trust me, once you start listing out everything you buy, you're gonna be surprised at what kind of random crap you're buying. Now, another thing I did was implement a wish list system where I wouldn't buy anything over $50 unless it's already been on my wish list for at least 6 months. So this helped me prevent impulse shopping. If I saw a shiny new computer that I wanted to buy or a brand new TV, I had to put it on a list and wait 6 months. And then more often than not, I wouldn't even want that same item 6 months later. So I actually saved a couple $100s by buying useless things that I didn't really need by putting it on a list. Now, these 2 strategies help with impulse buying and all the small everyday things you might buy. But if you really want to boost the amount you save, then you have to do this next thing, which will literally change the way you live. And that's lowering your housing costs by living with roommates. Now, I know that a lot of you want to live in the trendiest spots and would prefer to have your own place to yourself instead of having roommates, and it makes sense. But if you really think about it, is the short-term sacrifice of having roommates worse than having to work at a job that you don't like for the rest of your life, or being in a financial situation that you're not happy with? And if your answer is like mine, then I'd much rather take the short-term sacrifice of living with roommates any day. So if you really want to save money, suck it up and live like a broke college student for a few more years, and then have those roommates to share your space, because your housing expenses are probably your single largest fixed monthly expense. And if you can cut that down, then you're gonna have so much more free cash to save and invest. Now, for me, I had roommates until I got married, but having these roommates was probably the single best way that I was able to save and invest more of my salary when I was first getting started. And even when I owned my own house, I rented out all the other rooms so I could continue making income on my property instead of paying for the whole mortgage, property taxes, and insurance all by myself. Now, another thing that you need to be good at to save money is being able to say no and not giving in to peer pressure. Now, I know that I've mentioned in other videos that you need to cultivate your personal relationships as much as possible. But sometimes you're gonna get invited to things that you don't wanna go to, but you're gonna end up showing up because you feel obligated to. And then you're gonna end up spending hundreds of dollars at an event you didn't wanna be in. And I'm here to tell you today that's okay not to go to every event you get invited to. Your friends may miss you, but they're gonna get over it if you learn how to politely decline. So I would say if you wanna save a lot of money, don't go to all these events unless you actually want to go to. Sometimes you get invited to bachelor parties that'll cost you thousands of dollars. Sometimes you get invited to birthdays or baby showers. Now again, it costs hundreds of dollars to attend. By politely saying no, it'll save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in the long run. So once you have all your expenses dialed in, following this next step will keep you in line with your financial goals and will make your life 10 times easier. And that's to automate this whole thing of saving and investing. Now let's be real. If you're already struggling and you're watching this video with saving and investing just $10,000, then me telling you to save and invest won't actually do anything. So the best way to force yourself to save money is to just automate the entire process. And once you automate it, you're gonna be surprised at how fast your savings grow. So what you need to do is go to your HR department and tell them that you want 20% of your paycheck to automatically go into a separate bank account. This separate bank account is where you're gonna save and you're gonna start investing with. The remaining 80% of your paycheck can go to your main checking account, and that's what you live off of. So that other checking account with your 80% is gonna pay for your rent, your food, your utilities, your car payments, while the other 20% is gonna go to savings and investing. And this is money that you're never gonna see ever again. So by doing this, you're gonna learn to live off of just the 80% of the money you make. And this works really well for 2 reasons. One, it removes the mental strain of having to remember to invest and save a portion of the money in your account every single month. Because let's be honest, things are always gonna come up and you're always gonna feel like you need more money than you make. But by automatically investing and not even seeing that 20% that goes to the other account, you're not really gonna worry about the ups and downs of the markets, and you're going to be saving and investing automatically. You're not going to be scared or hesitant to invest your money if the market looks sus. It's just going to be done automatically. And this is where the magic happens. It's because when you invest all the time at the same rate, you're doing something called dollar cost averaging, which means that no matter what the stock price is, you're still buying the same dollar amount every time. So the stock market goes up, then that's great because your wealth is building and everything's increasing in the market. But if the market is down, then you actually get to buy more shares of the same thing you were buying earlier. So that when the market recovers, you actually make a lot more money. And again, because all this is automated, you don't need to think about it. And then you can look back a few months later and you're gonna be surprised about how large your account has grown. Now, of course, this leads to the next question. What do you actually invest in? So when I dollar cost average, I typically invest in long-term index funds. I personally buy things like QQQ, which is an index fund for tech stocks, or SPY, which is an ETF that tracks the S&P 500 index, which means that it tracks a combination of the performance of the top 500 stocks in the United States. These are things that I invest in. Obviously, don't take my word for it. Please do your own research first. But these funds have worked really well for me, and I've been investing them for over 10 years now. Typically, index funds like these grow at 8 to 10% every single year on average. So I just park my money there and I don't touch it. I rarely look at it, and it's growing my wealth tremendously. Now, if you guys want to start investing, I highly recommend that you sign up with Webull. Webull is a great online platform where you can buy and sell stocks through your computer or on your phone. And if you use my special link down below, they'll even give you free stocks when you sign up and you invest a certain amount. These are guaranteed returns and stocks that you can do whatever you want. You can keep them, or you can sell them, take your money out after 30 days, but Webull is offering these shares for free just for signing up. So definitely take full advantage of it and use my link down below. Now, before you start investing though, you need to be careful of this one thing, and that's getting hooked on fads and get-rich-quick schemes. So if you're talking to friends about investing and you start hearing about things like meme stocks such as GameStop or AMC, or that they're investing in the latest cryptocurrency, I would say stay very far away and stick with the fundamentals. Most of these fads and get-rich-quick schemes do not work out in the long run. And trust me, I've actually lost a lot of money this way, and many people have as well. Now, if you want to participate in these things, it's okay, as long as you put a very small percentage of your total net worth into it, but only invest what you're 100% okay to lose. So this is probably like 1% of your net worth. So if you have $10,000, then sure, you can invest $100 into something super risky. But if you're serious about your money, then focus on investing in stable, long-term assets and don't fall for these get-rich-quick schemes. Now this leads me to the most crucial step to being able to save your first $10,000, and that's not touching the money. Money is kind of like a bar of soap. The more you touch it, the more you play with it, the smaller it actually gets. So here's why this is so important if you want to learn how to grow your money. First of all, if you buy and sell your stocks within a year, then you're going to be paying short-term capital gains taxes, which are higher than long-term capital gains taxes. Now, of course, this isn't the only reason why you shouldn't be touching your money. By constantly buying and selling stocks, you actually risk losing money, either by selling a good stock too early or swapping a good stock for a bad one. For my wife and I, we rarely touch our assets. The market can go up 10% or go down 20% in one day. And we don't care because we don't trade our stocks often. We only sell our stocks when we want to buy something specific, like buying a new rental property. Otherwise, we let our stocks sit there and continue to compound and grow. By following these steps, believing in yourself, reducing your debt, learning how to spend less, automating your savings and investments, and not touching your money, you're going to be guaranteed to make $10,000. Now, if you follow these steps to a T and you still can't save $10,000 within 2 years, then feel free to leave a comment down below and we're going to find out what went wrong. And now that you know exactly how to save your first $10,000, you definitely want to check out this video where I show you why saving $10,000 is the turning point to becoming financially free. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Take care.